What's up now? I want to talk about some shit that's been on my mind. I don't know if it's going to come out very succinct or, concise or anything. Trying to think of the right word to explain how I don't know how well explained it's going to be. But there's some things that I feel like that's always bugged me about the discussion of cosmology and flat Earth versus globe Earth. There's like some really obvious things that I feel like they just get neglected to be mentioned, and I don't know. It just feels weird to me. I'm getting like this feeling of like why am I the only one that that sees the problem with these things here? Or just sees I feel like I see things that are just blatantly, you know, that just need to be addressed. And so far as like people's attachment to models and globe model, flat Earth model or lack thereof, where it's like the reality is like fucking. I don't know if anybody can figure it out, but like the globe model doesn't check out. It does, on some levels, but like obviously, upside down people and all that. I mean, it's just a bit much. And we've been indoctrinated into thinking that's what's going on, so people accept that idea a lot more readily than they would have if they had been adults when they heard what it is that we're supposed to believe. But what I want to say about the globe model that like I need to call in Jaren's show next time because Jaren's been so cocky about his newfound appreciation for the globe model. And there's just certain things that I just want to point out that I just feel like needed to be addressed. For one thing, like the star trails. Somebody in here? What's up now? The star trails I want to talk about because I was always confused about the star trails on my flat Earth journey. I hardly ever, I don't think I even ever got any closure on it. Like people would always be like, well, the star trails prove the globe Earth because they go one way and they go the other way and blah, blah, blah. You're in the northern hemisphere, they circle around the fucking pole star, and you go to the southern hemisphere and they're circling around whatever. There's no pole star, but apparently they circle the opposite direction. It's like what you would expect to see if you're on a ball or something, I guess is what they say. But oh, geez. Slow down, people. What the fuck? Here's what I don't think we'd expect to see if we were on a spinning ball in regards to the star trails. Is It's just so interesting. I mean, I think they're right. I think the star trails really do that, and I think there's been a sufficient amount of like misinformation or just misguided, ideas or whatever. I don't know how to put it, but like I think the flat Earth, the talking heads, the speakers, the flat Earth like fucking figureheads that like do most of the talking, Witsit and Jaren and these guys, I think that I don't know if they were doing this deliberately, but there always seemed to be like this sort of like half-ass attempt at explaining away the star trail thing, where it's like the Globers would bring that up and be like, this is a globe proof, and it's like there's no way around it. You have to address this, and then they'd be like, oh no, you're just facing the wrong way, and like if you look at it this way, then you look at that way, and that's all it is. It's that simple, and like I was never able to just like settle on that. Although Joe Hill, he put, effed up world, he put out a video that helped me like with more than anybody else's videos had, which was like he actually demonstrated this where like I think he's in Minnesota or something, somewhere out there. But he took a video of the star trails and he was facing north and they went one way, and then he took a video the next night facing south and the star trails are going the opposite way, and he's like, see, this is what we're talking about. This is like you face south, they go this way, and you face north, they go that way. And it was like that easy for him to just prove it by just standing in one spot and taking two different videos, where it's like this has been like a subject for debate for a long time, and I don't know if it's ever really been like squelched. I think because I think there really is the phenomena of like opposing star trails that that rotate in opposite directions in the southern region and versus the northern region, and then at the equator we have just a straight line. They move over in just a straight line. But here's what's up. Like I think that this is where we need to talk about this. If Jaron wants to jump back on the globe, and he's all, find some globe, find something about the globe model that's wrong, and I'll fucking hear. He's like, well, dude, you've just been spending like the past 10 years fucking filling our ears with all kinds of shit. But there's things that have never been addressed, though, and I don't know why. Like the fucking star trails, like I think they really do go how they're explained on the globe model, where there's like southern rotation goes one way. I forget which way it is, clockwise or counterclockwise. But then, and same with the northern hemisphere goes, the northern region goes the opposite way. And so they're just like opposing star trails, and then they take a globe and they spin it and they show you how that would work on a globe. And yeah, it's easy to understand. But the thing is, at the equator, they go straight overhead, just straight over your head, right? In a straight line. But the thing is, I've seen videos, and I think it's true, where it's like, if you're standing in the right spot, you can see the star trails diverge, where they're like, one's going that way and one's going that way. It's like, so the equator would be the straight line, and then you have these two diverging star trails that go like, that go out like that, and they're rotating the opposite direction from each other, and the equator is in the middle. But then you have the star trails diverging away from each other. I've seen this videos. I've seen like, star trail fucking photos or videos or whatever where they're diverging, and it's like, if that's really, I mean, I got to go traveling. I got to go see this for myself, because if that's really what we would expect to see down there, if you go to the right location, you can see star trails diverging away from each other. That right there is like, that needs some attention, man, because if we're on a ball that's spinning, and the reason we see star trails like that is because of the fact that we're on a ball that's spinning. They explain that by, it's like you're on the northern part of the ball or whatever, and you look at the stars and they're spinning this way. And then when you go down to the southern part of the ball, and you look at the stars and they're spinning the opposite way. And it's like, it's pretty easy to demonstrate, But what they never really talk about is that at the equator, the stars, there's a spot where the star trails diverge. Now, if you're on a ball, okay, and it's spinning in one direction, which is what they claim we're doing, I think all the, the lights, the trails in the sky are the result of the spin. So that leads me to believe that it would be fucking impossible, or I just don't know how it would really look if that was the case, if we were on a ball and the star trails were, the resulting star trails from our spin. Would it be possible to see a location on Earth where you look up and you see the star trails diverging in two different directions? Because you're spinning one direction. So the trails of the stars are the result of our spin, is what they say. The stars, are relatively just static. It's like the reason we see the star trails is not because they're moving according to the globe model. It's because we're moving. And we're moving in one direction. We're rotating, east to west or whatever. And we're just moving in one direction. So I would think you wouldn't be able to see, like, you would see the trails as a result of your motion, and they would only be like, you wouldn't see them diverge like that. That's two different directions. That's two different motions. I mean, that's right. They say the star trails go two different directions, and I've seen videos where they diverge, the star trails. They're going two different directions. Like if you're on a ball and you're spinning one direction. So all the star trails should be just the result of that one direction. You're not going to see, I just don't understand how that would actually look. Like, how would you, the light turned off. What's up, FE Nation? Hey, somebody join me. Right on. That's fucking awesome. I'm talking about the star trails. You're a good guy for this. Like, how they say the star trails go different directions, in different hemispheres or whatever, regions of the Earth. I don't know how much of this you caught if you just showed up, but like, I've seen videos or pictures where it's like you can see the star trails diverging away from each other, like the equator, is just like they pass over you in a straight line. But then I've seen videos and pictures where the star trails diverge away from each other because they're, one's going this direction, one's going that direction. They actually, you can see the two different directions that they're going. And I just want to know if, like, say we're on a ball and we're spinning, like they say, and the star trails are the result of our spin. And so they should only be going in one direct. Like, I understand the whole thing. How, like, if you're on the bottom of the ball and the top of the ball, you would see them rotating opposite directions, and it's just because we're spinning, and we're on two different points, center points. But like the thing is with the equator, like if we can see, if there's a spot on Earth where we can see the star trails diverge in two different directions, how could that be the result of us spinning? Because we're going to be spinning in one direction. So all the trails should be trailing in one direction. We shouldn't be able to see them diverge like that if it's a result of us spinning in one direction. Am I right? It seems kind of obvious to me. I've tried to explain this so many times, and nobody ever really understands what I'm saying, or maybe I don't deliver myself with enough like confidence or something. But it's because I'm just still kind of mystified and curious about it. I'm not like someone with all the answers, but I'm trying to find answers. I just want the truth like everybody else. But like if we're gonna be on a ball and it's spinning one direction, like how exactly is that gonna look when the start? Like, because I understand how the star trails would be moving in different directions if we were on a ball, if we are on the top or on the bottom, or whatever, vice versa. And it's not like It's not like there are two different directions. It's just that you're looking at them from two different angles or whatever. It's so confusing. Living on a 3D surface is not is not. Our minds aren't cut out for it. We can't think that way, and I can go into detail on that too, but I feel like I'm so scatterbrained right now. I just want to get this point out. It's like if the star trails diverge, I don't think if we're on a spinning ball, I don't think there should be a place on Earth where we can see the trails going in two different directions because we're spinning in one direction. So all the trails should be leaving trails in one direction. We shouldn't be able to see them diverge into two different directions. You know what I'm saying? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Because I think if we're spinning one direction, then all the trails should be showing should be trailing in one direction. We shouldn't see them diverge. I think that's impossible. I don't think you could possibly see trails diverging if you're on a spinning ball spinning one direction. How the fuck are you going to see lights that diverge in two different directions? I think that's like a major problem for the globe. Is it not? I mean, I just like, and then I start thinking about it. I'm like, how they say they map the latitude longitude lines off the sky observations, and that kind of makes sense because like, if you think about it, like the circles from the northern part of the world, it's like where the sun makes its tightest circuit, in the north, and it's like you get the 24-hour sun there, and then it starts making bigger and bigger circles, comes out, it's like the latitude lines, it starts off, small circles and they get bigger and bigger. It's like just like how the sun's path would be further and further out, and then you get bigger, bigger circles, and you get to the equator where the stars are moving in a straight line, which is like indicating like this equator would be a straight line, and then you have the circles going the other direction. They start to shrink back down, it's like mirroring the northern area. And like that's what the star trails are indicating, like if that's really what I haven't traveled the Earth, but that's what I've seen evidence of in videos and photographs and whatever. But I don't know how you would possibly see star trails diverging in two different directions if you're on a ball spinning one direction. I don't know if that's what you would see. It seems like somebody must have simulated this by now, or just I mean, it's got to be something you can simulate, on a computer. Just be like, okay, I want to have a position on a ball, standing, looking at the sky, and I want to see what the lights in the sky, what trails, the resulting trails of our motion would cause. I mean, is it possible? I mean, we could probably ask AI this question: is it possible to be standing on a spinning ball, looking at lights in the sky, leaving trails as you spin, and for those trails to diverge in two different directions while you're spinning in one direction? Is that possible? I don't think it is. So you have a video of the trails diverging in two different directions? I think that needs more attention, man. I think that's like a serious problem for the globe. I don't think that's possible. I don't think I don't think the globe model would check. I don't think it checks out because of that, is what I'm saying. And I mean, naturally, there's a lot of other reasons why I don't think the globe model checks out, but it's quite interesting. I think this might be like an age-old debate, like older than we think it is. I think this might have been the debate, as far as cosmology goes, and I don't know. Maybe this is the first time this has really come to a head like this, but I don't think so. I think there's been this debate for a long time. Because if people study the sky and then really is a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, here's what's weird. It's like we shouldn't have thought the Earth was a globe at all until discovering the second 24-hour sun. And then it should have started to click like, oh, that wait, maybe maybe the ground is shaped weird because this is impossible. And I don't remember hearing about that when I was learning about the globe that we live on when I was in school. I remember hearing about Columbus and the fucking ships over the horizon and this dumb shit that's not even real. It's not. It doesn't even check out. It's just some wimpy ass fucking. It's bullshit. It's not even really proof of anything. Whereas, like, they could have just led with the 24-hour sun in two different opposing parts of the world where the star trails are rotating in different directions. I don't remember hearing about any of that when I was in school. That should have been a way more interesting way of learning about the globe. But, like, for that to be such a home run for them, for the globe, and it took, like, 10 years for them to just make this happen, it just seems sus to me. Like, why? This is like where we, why don't they have fucking videos down there filming the 24-hour sun all the time? Why is it up to the flat earth to point it out and go down there and do it? Like, what the fuck is really going on? It just seems so, like, half-assed on the side of the globe. Why would they have their main, like, their exclusive globe proof evidence or whatever? I call it evidence because, you can't really prove it until you leave Earth and see it for yourself. But, like, it's, I do agree that it's pretty compelling evidence. And, like, if that's and that's so far, that's the only evidence that I've seen over 10 years that was actually really compelling that got me to sit there and go, huh. And obviously, Jaron, I mean, he's basically over flat Earth. He's done. He thinks the Earth is a globe now. And well, good for him. I hope he's happy. He clearly is. He's kind of like, in the way like a narcissist gets happy, he's like, I'm right, you're wrong. He's kind of, even though I was wrong, but you were wrong back then. But I'm right. I'm always right, and you're always wrong. And like Austin from Mellowdome, these guys got this snide kind of like, you stupid flat earthers. They immediately adopted that attitude, and it's like, come on, man. Not everybody on the flat earth, we're not all dumb. I mean, like, how dare they come at us like that? It just feels so like they're just taking a few examples of people like being kind of, asshole-ish on the flat earth side, and then just taking that and making it everybody. They're making their videos directed towards all flat earthers as though they're stupid or something. It's like, while they were like main flat earth talking like speakers for the longest time, and now they're both just like, flat earth is gay and stupid and flipping us off, and I don't understand how people can just be that. Whatever. That's not even the point of my video. I hate when I start getting all caught up in the politics and the social. That's not what I'm in this for. Like, it's so dumb. But anyways, like, we shouldn't be able to see diverging star trails if we're on a spinning ball because we're spinning one direction. Why would we see them moving off in two different directions? That doesn't fucking make sense. And I already have my own proof of the flat. I'll always be a flat earther, by the way. Like, and it's because I can't think the way I finally saw it. Like, it wasn't somebody's video that made me become a flat earther, although it was the flat earth movement that made me start thinking about it. And when I finally realized what I'm dealing with here, and it's like, I never thought about it, but like the globe earth, like, if, on a perfect ball or whatever, like, it doesn't matter where you're standing, you have to imagine yourself standing in like an imaginary circle on the ground. You're standing in the middle of it. And that circle starts to expand, and it's evenly in every direction, and it's getting wider and wider. All that space, that all the area that it's encompassing as it widens, and it just widens and widens and widens and just gets so wide. There's all this space inside that circle that was just really small when it started with you in the middle. Now it's moving outward in every direction. And on a globe Earth, that circle can only widen as far as the median. So it would widen to about 25,000 miles in circumference, right? 24, 25. And then that circle is going to have to start to shrink back down to the other end of the world, But it's like, that's when I finally my mind broke. I'm like, how's that going to happen? How are you going to make a smaller perimeter around the outside of that perimeter that's widening? How's it going to start to shrink? I'm just thinking about it. Maybe I don't know. Why don't people think about this? Like, if this circle is widening, and it started at me, and it's widening in every direction. I feel like I should always be right in the middle of that circle, no matter what. It can widen indefinitely, and I'll always be right in the middle because it started at me. But the thing is, on a globe Earth, that circle is going to widen only as far as the median, the furthest, the bulge or whatever, the hump, the ball, and then it's going to start shrinking back down to the other end of the ball. But once it passes the median, it starts to close in on a different center point that I'm no longer in the middle of. And so when it's done closing in, I'm not in the middle of it anymore. But you would say, like, okay, the circle's gonna widen. As it widens, I get to usurp all the property that's inside that circle. And you would eventually own the whole world. It closes up back down on the bottom of it. But but I've done my thought experiment where it's like, well, if you do it like this, where it's like you only get to own what's in the last circle you draw. You start at the North Pole and you draw a circle around it, and then your property gets wider and wider and wider. But the rules of the game are you only get to own what's inside the last circle you drew, and you can just draw circles indefinitely, and you're making concentric circles starting at the North Pole. So, kind of like latitude lines or whatever. And you just keep drawing bigger circles. You draw another circle, and it's just like you keep getting more and more property. And that property will widen, until you get down to the equator. And that's the biggest circle you're going to make on a globe Earth. And then they start to shrink. Now, like at the point when your circles start to shrink, technically you're losing property now. But this is what's fucked up about it, because I've talked about this with Globers, and Globers like, oh no, now you're just circling the property that you don't own. And you still have all that same property. So you still have all that property, but you're just circling the property that you don't own. And it's like, well, no, because in my thought experiment here, you only own what's inside the last circle you drew. So you'll never be circling something you don't own. And at the point when your circles start to shrink, you're just losing property. And your circles are around a whole different area. Like you'll gain property all the way out to the equator, and that's the biggest circle you're going to make on the globe Earth. And you're like, yay, I got half the world, and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to get all the world. The thing is, once you pass the equator, now that circle is closing in around a different center point on the other end of the world. And it's like the Globers will be like, well, now you're just circling the property that you don't own. But I'm like, no, that's the thing. You only own what's inside the last circle you drew. And so if your circles are shrinking, then your property is shrinking. It's like you suddenly lose all that property that you had on the north the second you go over the equator, and because now you're circling a different area. Because whatever's inside the last circle you drew, you know what I mean? It's like I don't think people can even have the brain power to make it this far in the thought experiment. Because I've never had anyone actually come back with any kind of coherent response. Like I've had a few people be like, "Oh, you're right, that's fucked up," and that's kind of the answer. That's kind of the response I'm hoping for. But like most people don't even have the patience to make it that far in a thought experiment. So I think that's kind of what we're all battling, is that people's attention span is just not there, and the thought process. People just want to repeat talking points they've heard that sound interesting. And it's like nobody's really like trying to think about it from their own perspective and just bring something new to the table. It's all just the same shit over and over on both ends of this debate. It's like, but like, just imagine living on the surface of a 3D object. Like there's certain things that our minds don't function like that. Nobody thinks about the earth as though it were a ball. Really, they don't. I mean, because we don't have to. We don't need to. And it's like the earth is a stationary plane for all of us that are living on it. Any other information other than that is just, it's moot. We don't need to know it because there's no application for it. It's like we live on a stationary plane. Any other information is just moot. We don't need to know it. And so it's just a pointless debate to be having, for one thing. And it's just like, to think that the earth is a globe, spinning through space, is like, dude, clearly that's a psyop. But like, it's going to have to be, if we're talking like cosmology, I mean, it's going to have to be pretty convincing. They're going to have to build it around real world shit for it to be believable. And I got to say that, the 24-hour suns, that's compelling evidence. It's exclusive proof for the globe, exclusive evidence for the globe. Because I don't think, but all the same, it's like we don't really understand what the sky is. We do understand what the sun does. And I still don't think that the 24-hour sun in Antarctica, I don't think that's even I don't think that makes sense as far as like the globe. I mean, I don't know how I would even see the sun at all here in Northern California if it's making that small circle down there that Dave McKeegan showed us a video of. That seemed like a pretty small little circle, but maybe it's just like optics. I mean, maybe they're looking at the sun circle around the whole entire world, but they just happen to have, it's like that. I don't know. This doesn't make any sense. They say the globe model explains it all perfectly, but I think that's just cocky talk. And people are just want to be right and have an answer. I don't think that's true. I don't think they really, because I don't think that you would see star trails diverging in two different directions if you were standing on a ball that's spinning in one direction. How would you see two different directions being trailed? That doesn't make sense. Like if you think about it, just think hard. Like if you're standing on a ball that's spinning and you're seeing trails in the sky from the lights that are static and you're spinning, so it's leaving trails. You're spinning in one direction, so all those trails are going to be indicating that one direction. Now, when you're on the bottom of the ball versus the top of the ball, you're going to see them counter, but you're just spinning one direction. It's just that it's like stereograph, it's like you're on the other end of it's like, you're not saying they're not moving in two different directions is what I'm saying. You're just spinning in one direction, but you're on two opposing viewpoints. But like at the equator for them to diverge into two different directions right there, I don't think you would see that on a spinning ball. I really don't think I think that's impossible. I don't know why there isn't more people talking about that. Yeah, the hairspray. I mean, dude, that's the thing. We get caught up in the moment. And we forget about all the 10 years worth of fucking obvious, like, it's just so much. I mean, I think here's the thing what's weird about Jaron, man. It's like, is Jaron the guy with the most subs in Flat Earth? I mean, there might be some other people on TikTok that have more subs, but like, I think he's probably up there, And it's not because like, here's the thing I was going to say. It's like, if they wanted to do a Flat Earth psyop, and what they wanted to do was create a buzz about Flat Earth and rope a bunch of people in about it, and then have it, run for like 10 years or something, just get as many people on board as possible, and then have the main voice that roped people in go and have this epiphany, and go back to the globe. Like if they were going to have that be the psyop, because an effective psyop is going to the whole point of a psyop is to have you believe something, but you're supposed to come to that conclusion on your own. They want to lead you to make that conclusion on your own. That it's like the psyop, it's going to have to be like they're manipulating your psychology. It's like an effective psyop is going to lead the people watching or paying attention to believe a certain desired outcome after feeling as though any alternative belief has already been exhausted, and it's just been that's it. And that's so now you just believe this one thing because you've exhausted the alternative. Like an effective psyop is gonna lead you to feel like, okay, we've already exhausted the whole flat Earth thing, and now we're just going back to the globe because we've figured out that flat Earth is ridiculous. Like that's what the effective psyop. Like if you wanted to do a flat Earth psyop, that's how it would play out. You would get people to believe the flat Earth, and then you would like string them all out on it, making it seem like it's just obviously flat, and the globe is ridiculous, and then just turn on a dime once you see the 24-hour sun in Antarctica and be like, oh wait, never mind. Sorry about that. And just make the carpet out under everybody's feet and be like, oh wait, turns out Earth is a globe after all. Whoops. And like that's like psyop material right there. It's like, I mean, I gotta admit, he almost had me going a little bit, But the thing is, I've been aware of that possibility the whole time, but I gotta say, if Jaron's an actor, but here's what the thing is with Jaron is like, he's the first guy I started watching, like with Flat Earth, like 10 years ago or something. Maybe not quite 10 years ago. It was like 2017, maybe 16. But like, I just remember he's so matter of fact, and like some of his videos he used to make were just, I thought it was just so classic. I'm like, this guy, he doesn't even seem like he's that bright, and he's just like unraveling, like my mind was so blown. I'm just like, what in the fuck is happening here? Like the guy is just unraveling all all the stuff that we thought was true, and he's just like some average and average Joe, average intelligence. He's like, yeah, I just figure you might want to know you're being lied to about everything. And it was just so matter of fact that I'm like, this is insane, and I was hooked right away. Like he wrote me in with it was his personality, his delivery, and then the evidence, the stuff, the material he's bringing forth, and it's like he went through all of it with such confidence, and the delivery was so compelling that like, it kind of drew me in. I'd see other people like trolling him, like, there'd be like, Bob the science guy, and there'd be like this little debate going, but like as far as I was looking at it, because I wasn't quite convinced yet, of flat Earth, and I was just going, I'm like, it looks like these guys, they'll have their opponents be like, oh yeah, fucking, they're dumb, and then like come up with all the response, the globe fucking response, and rebut their arguments, and I'm like, oh, see, they just proved them wrong. So now what are they going to say? And I go back and I watch the flat Earth side, and be like, wait, they have a response that's better. I'm like, so every time I'd be like, oh, they got punked, and then I go back and watch the flat Earthers and be like, oh wait, no, they're not punked. Wait a minute, And then after a while, I realize I'm like, wait, the flat Earth always ends up having a pretty good response, and these guys are just like, it comes down to like taking someone's word for it or something. I'm like, I don't know about this. It just seems so obvious that the flat Earth always won, in my eyes. I mean, like you could always like just decide to take someone's word for it and be like, no, the flat Earth sucks because these guys is consensus. I'm not like that. I've always been Dr. Bass backwards. I don't just jump on the bandwagon. Like I don't like doing that. I feel like that's not the way to the truth. But like the truth should be like something that everybody sees, so it should be the bandwagon. But like I want everything to make sense if I'm going to believe it. That's what flat Earth has done to me. Like I realize that I have beliefs that I hadn't even thought about, and then upon thinking about them, I realized there was some problems with what I believed in, which is like, for one thing, I've never felt the Earth motion, and I just took that for granted that like, oh yeah, we just don't feel it because of whatever the science is. I just didn't think about it much. I didn't think, well, maybe we just don't feel it because it's not real. And the thing is, with the distance, like the circles just get bigger, man. Like if I draw a circle on the ground, can you draw a smaller circle around the outside of it? No. If I draw a bigger circle on the ground, then can you draw a smaller circle around the outside of it? No. Okay, what if I draw a really, really big fucking circle on the ground, then can you draw a smaller circle around the outside of it? No. Okay, so is it safe to say that the size of the circle I draw is irrelevant? It's always going to be impossible to draw a smaller circle around the outside of it? Yes. Okay, so the circles just get bigger. Duh. And bigger and bigger. Yeah, obviously we already went over that. Okay, so the circles just get bigger and bigger and fucking bigger. Yeah. Anybody alive would have to agree with me. So basically everybody alive is a flat earther. Because that's how we see the world. I mean, it's like, it's that easy, dude. That's how I see the world. The circles just get bigger. They don't get smaller at any point. It's like, you're not going to see them shrink. How could you see that? That's silly. That's silly. Like, what's the biggest circle you can draw on the surface of globe Earth? Well, it's the equator. That's the biggest circle you're going to draw, or whatever, the median. 24,000 miles in circumference. Okay, well, what area is inside that circle? Well, the whole world. No, it's like, it can't be the whole world, because if I had the equator for my property line, would I own the whole world? No. So what area is inside the equator? You draw a circle around your neighborhood, you have a circle, your neighborhood is inside that circle. So if you draw the biggest circle on Earth, the equator, that's the biggest circle, then so what area is inside that circle? Well, half the northern hemisphere or the southern. If I draw a circle around my house, is it circling my house or my neighbor's house? No. So it's going to be circling one area. What is it? I've never gotten a straight answer. It's circling the whole world. I'm like, okay, well, if the equator was my property line, would I own the whole world? No. Okay, so what? Is it circling half the world? I mean, either the north or the south. Is it safe to say that it's circling half the world then? Yeah, I guess. That's pretty much the only way you can look at that. Okay, so the biggest circle you can draw on the face of the Earth is only circling half the Earth. Fuck you. It starts to fall apart when you just think about it. If I said the biggest circle I can draw in my neighborhood is circling half my neighborhood, you would think I was a retard. But for some reason, when it gets big, it's like, oh no, it's just a whole different story. So what's up now? Why don't people think about this shit? Why in the fuck is it up for fucking some Dr. Bass Ackwards to just point out this shit that we've been talking about this for fucking 10 years? I have never heard one flat earther or globe earther say any of the things that I'm saying right now. Why? It seems like that's why I became a flat earther, is when I had this epiphany. I've been talking about it for fucking ever. People don't even fucking think about this shit. I'm just like at my wit's end. I'm like, like, doesn't that like fucking seem kind of crazy to say that like the biggest circle you can draw on the earth is only circling half the earth? I mean, it doesn't even check out. It's like, it's either circling the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere. Well, no, it's got to be circling one or the other. You can't have a circle on the surface of the earth circling either one place or another place. That's not how this works. If you're buying property, you measure the fucking dimensions of your property, and you're like, okay, there's my dimensions. I have 25,000 miles circumference, and there's this much mileage that's inside of that circumference. Okay, well, what part of the world is it circling? Well, it's either the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere. What? Like, that's not how you buy property. You don't get to say it's either circling this, or my property line goes around this area or that area. No, that's not how this works. When you're measuring things on the surface of the earth, it's not either or, it's just one answer. So if you went and measured out the equator on the earth, is it going to be a circle? If so, what is inside that fucking circle? Is it the whole fucking world? Every place on earth? Because it damn well better be, if it's the biggest circle you can draw on earth. Come on, man. It's just fucking funny how people just accept this shit and they don't even think about it. And then I'll be talking about it for fucking 8 years and not one person has even fucking bothered repeating what I said anywhere else. Nobody even fucking thinks nobody even thinks I have a good point. And it's like, dude, I'm just in my own little world here. I'm just like losing my mind. In the meantime, there's people like, oh, I don't know if flat earth is true anymore. I'm like, dude, have you bothered thinking about it though? The fuck's going on? Oh my God. And Jaren's all happy about the globe now. And it's like, dude, if there's a place on earth where you can go and film the star trails diverging in two different directions, then you don't live on a spinning ball. Because if you're on a spinning ball, you're spinning in one fucking direction. And so therefore, you'll only see lights trailing in one direction. You're not going to see them diverge into two different directions. How the fuck is that going to work? Yeah, simulate that. Show me your perfect model that simulates that. I mean, I don't think you can. I think that's just where your fucking model breaks, actually. I've heard Jaren say this, that the equator is the only latitude line that's not a circle. It's a straight line. And it's like, well, yeah, I guess it's if you're basing the latitude lines off the stars, because the equator would be the one place where the stars go straight, and then they'd go off in different directions, circling outward, But it's like, so if the equator is a straight line, then here's the thing: if we have latitude lines that are all circles except for the fucking equator, which is a straight line, then is that not what you would get if you took global coordinates and placed them over a flat plane? Oh, fuck me, man. That's exactly what you would get. But I looked up on Google, the purveyor of all truth. Is the equator a circle or a straight line? And they told me it was a circle. But it's like, I could have sworn I heard Jaren tell me that the globe model says the equator is a straight line. It's a one latitude line. It's not a circle. I'd rather it be a circle, because then I can make my whole point about how like fucking what's it circling? Because if you draw a circle on the ground, it's circling a specific area. It's not circling either this area or that area. This or that is not a sufficient answer when I ask what area is the equator circling. Oh, either the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere. Those are two different fucking places, man. It's like, it's not like that, man. It's either one or the other. If it's a straight line, then it's just basically dividing the entire known Earth into half. And if it was my property line, I'd say I'd take the northern hemisphere just for shits and giggles. Okay, so now I own the northern hemisphere. Let's say I want to buy more property. So I step into the southern hemisphere and I walk all the way around till I come back to where I started. I make a whole new line, I guess, or circle, whatever. I add more property to my property that I already had, which is the entire northern hemisphere. So I walk and I'm going around in a complete straight line or circle, whatever the fuck you want to say it is. It's like, come all the way back to where I started. I added that much more property, like an even amount around the whole perimeter of my property that I had before, which was the entire northern hemisphere. I add a shitload more property. I don't know how many, what mileage that, it's a lot. When you walk all the way around, come back, and even if you only walked south like 10 feet from your old property line, you walk all the way around the world and come back to where you started. And that's a lot of property that you just added, all right? So now that perimeter that you just made, the new perimeter, is shorter. It's a smaller measurement than the property line you had prior to that. Are you following me? Because that's what they want you to believe. After you go south of the equator, if you're going to walk all the way around in a big circle or whatever, it's going to be a shorter circle than the equator was. So I add all that property to my property that I already had, and now I have a smaller property line. I fit all that much more property inside of a smaller circle. That's retarded. I'm sorry. It's just so dumb. I mean, and that's what we're supposed to believe. Oh no, now you're just circling the property you don't own. Okay, but like I'm on the other end of that circle though. Like you understand what I'm saying here? Like we don't live on a 3D surface. Like, oh God, our minds aren't cut out to even think that way. We don't even think of Earth as being a 3D. Nobody thinks of the Earth as a ball when it comes down to it. Anyone alive will tell you that the circles just keep getting bigger. We already went over that. I don't need to go through that again. But like, so therefore everybody's a flat earther. They just don't realize it. It's just like pride or something. They're just like, I don't want to, I'm not stupid. I don't think Earth is flat. Although like fucking the circles just get bigger. Anybody will just have to say, well, yeah, but the circles do just get bigger. You can't make a smaller circle around the outside of another circle. Although I have these Globers that are wise to my whole bit, and they'll just be like, the Globers are the ones that actually acknowledge what I'm saying, but they'll keep coming at me with like, oh no, well, that's what has to happen because we live on a globe. You know, it's like their proof of living on a globe is that we live on a globe. I'm like, oh, that's fucking clever. But like, they'll never even concede to my point, which is like, why on fuck? What, like, if I draw a small circle on the ground and you can't draw a smaller circle around the outside of it, why am I supposed to believe that like if I draw a big enough circle, there will come a time when you can draw a smaller circle around the outside of it? No, man, it scales out. Like it's always going to be the same situation. You're going to be walking around the outside of the circle that you just had, and it's going to be a longer journey. There's never going to be a time when you're walking around the outside of your previous circle and it's going to be a shorter distance. That's not the reality we live in. And in fact, if you want to believe that, that's where you have to depart from reality. And that's the globe model. And that's how I look at it. I'll always be a flat earther because of that. And there's no other reason. It's because of that. And it's like, that's why everybody should be a flat earther, in my opinion, because you have to depart from reality in order to believe that shit. And it's that basic. It's just like, I don't need to know. I don't have to have a science degree or like fucking fancy videos and presentations and, you know, Dr. Bassism. No, you just have to fucking think about it. What would living on a surface of a 3D object necessitate? Well, it would necessitate certain things that defy logic as far as we know it. I mean, it should be just like, I wish people that believe in the globe or the uprising or the well, you know, I wish people could just accept the fact that like, okay, maybe there is something else going on outside our frame of reference. I can't say either way. I don't know. This is my frame of reference. And from my frame of reference, we live on a flat stationary plane. That is fucking obvious. It's our objective reality. Everybody on Earth should be able to agree with me on that. And then you can just be like, okay, maybe something outside of our reference frame. There's stuff going on. It could be a ball spinning or whatever, or rising. But the thing is, we're not busy experiencing that. We don't have to account for that. We don't need to know that. And it's like, basically, it's irrelevant information. We can all agree that the Earth we experience is a stationary level plane. However, God had to go about making that reality for us. Like, that's beside the point. That's God's business. What we're experiencing is the stationary level plane. That's what flat Earth is. It's just about being honest. Like, if you want to be all like grandiose and say you know what's going on in the heavens, and out, if we leave the frame of reference that nobody's ever left, it's like you're just talking about a bunch of irrelevant shit. We don't need to know any of that. It's just useless information. It's like it's a moot point, man. It's like fucking dumb. But like we're gonna colonize space and go to Mars, and eventually society's gonna realize that nobody's fucking going anywhere, dude. It's gonna become like painfully obvious pretty soon, I'd hope. They're always spitting some new, like, oh, we're gonna do moon tours and fucking, space hotels, and it's all this like we're busy building it right now, and the blueprints, and we're selling tickets and fucking. This is never anything like they say. It's never gonna happen because it's not real, dude. Like, I mean, come on, man. You don't have to be that smart to really get down to the brass tacks here. Like, what the, it's like, okay, maybe Jaron went and saw 24-hour sun, but he's just got fucking he thinks Duffy's cute or something. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with him. I think he's got a hurt ego because people call him a shill and fucking an agent, and he just feels like he's butthurt. So he's going back to the globe because of his emotions. He's like, I don't want to be on the team of flat Earth. They're a bunch of conspiracy theorists, weirdos, and assholes, and mean people, mean fucking fetuses and whatever. And it's like, dude, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not one of those people. I didn't say anything mean about anybody. I'm just like, I'm watching all the drama going, like, this isn't what cosmology is all about. This is what fucking human politics, this is like the lowest form of fucking like information right here. This is petty, dude. This is not even fucking content. This is just like drama that is, I mean, it's just so dumb and boring. Like, it doesn't inspire me. Like, I can't watch Jaronism anymore. All he does is rant about how flat Earth is stupid. And I'm like, no. Flat and stationary Earth is our objective reality. Here's my advice to anybody that's listening to me. Next time someone wants to tell you what your objective reality is, just ask yourself, why in the fuck would somebody feel the need to do that? Like, I don't need someone to tell me what my objective reality is. I'll tell you what my objective reality is, and it's yours too. It's a stationary flat Earth. Or level topographical plane. I mean, that's what we all experience. Just face it. Come to terms with reality. I'll let you have like maybe it's doing something. Maybe it's a globe outside of our frame of reference. But like, I don't. You could have fooled me, honestly. Like you did fool me at one point. I grew up thinking that shit was true. But the whole space travel—that's all just fucking dude. It's been debunked. Am I right? I'm right. What's up, 16 Alpha V? You lead me to the question of how many sides a coin has with this rant. Well, two. There's two sides. However, we only live on one side of it. Maybe there isn't. Maybe there is an inverted world, and maybe there's like a black hole sun, and maybe there's a fucking concave uprising fucking spinning globe. These are all just like, that's all the fairy tales, like the flat stationary Earth is just the objective reality. And that's why it gets the most shit from everybody. Like, oh, that's boring. I don't want to fucking talk about that. That's just the obvious truth. And we want to talk about all this other crazy stuff that has nothing to do with anything and that's totally irrelevant and doesn't help anybody at all. Let's talk about that because it models the Earth better. Like, why don't you just fucking look at what's going on around you and this fucking, it's good enough for me, man. Like, built for use over a flat, non-rotating Earth. That's good enough for me. Like that's what I'm built for, and that's what we're living. That's the reality. As stupid as it might sound. Are you being immature? I don't know. Am I? Yeah, my objective reality is your objective reality. So you talk about you want to have our reality beat itself up. It's fucking done plenty of that already. The thing that's funny about this is that people are fucking firmly convinced of completely opposing ideas while they're all living in the same fucking. It's so funny, dude. For Jaron to be like flip flopping from the globe to the flat Earth to back to the globe, and it's like he's so convinced, so compelling. Like for both. And to see him doing the globe argument now, it's just like, oh god, I can't hear Jeranism's voice now without thinking. It's like I get that feeling of like, when you're waiting for the 5 seconds to tick when a commercial is playing on YouTube and you're waiting to hit the skip video thing. Like, okay, I don't want to watch commercial. I want to go to my show. You're waiting for it to be tick down so you can press the skip commercial thing. That's the feeling I get when I hear Jeranism's voice now. And I used to be inspired by him, but like now I'm just like, okay, is it over yet? It's like I'm hearing a commercial now. I feel like I'm I'm listening to an ad or something. Like, okay, I want to hit the skip button. It's just like, dude, he's not real. I don't know what the fucking deal is, man. It's like, how could you be that deep into flat Earth and just flip like that? I don't know, man. Whatever. I guess fucking who cares? My objective reality beats everybody's up. Just because I'm cool and like I know more than everybody else, and it's like, and everybody just needs to listen to me. You guys need to make me your new leader. I'm gonna be the leader now because like our old leader, he's just a fucking dude. He's just a globe cuck, man. Fuck that shit, dude. I don't do that. I'll never cuck to the globe. I told you already. I'm a flat earther for life, and it's only because I thought about it. And so all you have to do is just think about it, or just if you don't have the ability to do that, you can just rewind my video and then just listen to it again. Because I'm going to tell you how your objective reality is. It's pretty fucking basic, but nobody ever wants to think about it. They just want to hear somebody else tell them what their objective reality is, and that's good enough for them. What's got the more flashy presentation, or who's got the most fucking followers and the most views and clicks and... Listen, if you need help with your objective reality, you just watch Dr. Bass Backwards. I mean, yeah, that name, that inspires confidence. Wait, is Dr. Bass Backwards just trolling us? Is he playing reverse psychology on us? Is this some kind of fucking opposite day type shit where you're telling us the opposite of the truth and you mean the opposite and you're just trolling us? Is your channel just one big troll? Fuck you, man. Get out of here. How dare you? How dare you? Dr. Troll. Troll Backwards. Oh, what's up now? You know what's funny is that I used to think Jaron and Witsit were pretty good. Like I thought they were like they were like truth seekers, and I thought I caught Witsit in a couple of white lies over the years, and I thought I was like, that's not a big deal. But the thing that I always thought was weird about both those guys is like, how could they have so much knowledge and be such immature like people at the same time? I don't know. Maybe I'm like that too. I don't know. I still like Austin, and I still like Jaron too, but I'm not really I don't really like Jaron anymore. But like, just because he's such a jerk, dude. Austin isn't that bad. I mean, but the whole thing with Austin is like, he's getting haggled. He's like, show us the snow, show us your breath, show us the snow, show us your breath. He's all, okay, hold on. And he puts the screen on pause, goes into the shed, grabs his gloves and his vape, comes back out. He's okay. There's my breath. Okay, grabs the snow. Here's the snow. Are you guys happy now? But he just can't own up to it. And it's like, oh, dude, this is just embarrassing, man. I can't wait for this to be over. The thing is, it'll never be over. It's always going to be funny until he just admits it. And then it'll just be embarrassing. Well, it's embarrassing, but it's whatever. I don't know. I don't think these guys... See, the thing is, I'm just like so much smarter than everybody else, and like nobody wants to even think about it to the extent that I've thought about it. And you don't have to do any research; you just have to think about it. Research is just researching somebody else's ideas. Come up with your own fucking ideas, man. Think about it yourself. If you just research somebody else's shit, you're just gonna be rehashing some old shit. Come up with your own new perspective on it, like I did, because I'm smarter than everybody. Everybody else that wants to research, well, you know what researching is? It's just digging up some old shit and presenting it to people again. Why don't you come up with some new shit? How about just do a search and just all your own shit and from my own search? And this is what I found. Nobody wants to hear original perspectives, I guess, because I get like 11 views. I'm so unpopular and so sad. You don't live on a globe, dude. And if you do, it's a magic globe. Like, they should have just told us that when they were like, how come we don't fall off the ball, mommy? Oh, because of magic. Oh, okay. No, but it's gravity. Because of gravity. Oh, is that like magic? Yes. Oh, magic. That's a good explanation. They should have just said magic. How can you prove magic? Well, the thing is with magic, you can't prove magic. It's magic. It's just there. And yeah. Daddy, you're an astronaut. How come you don't tell the flat earthers they're wrong? How come there's so many flat earthers, Daddy? Look at all these flat earthers who say they're right about the earth being flat. But Daddy, you're an astronaut. Why don't you tell them? Tell them that they're wrong, Dad. Can you please tell them, Daddy, Daddy? Why won't you tell the flat earthers they're wrong, Daddy? Shut up, son. Stop watching that flat earth content. Earth is a ball. Daddy, but they say it's flat. Are they right, Daddy? How come you don't tell them that you're wrong, Daddy? You're an astronaut. Why don't you tell them? Shut up, son. I hate the globe. I'm going to be a flat earther. No, you're not. They're like, honey, we got to take our boy to Flat Earthers Anonymous or whatever. Fucking, they have like a fucking globaholic fucking meeting. Where I was talking to my kid. He's talking about flat Earth again. I'm an astronaut. This is grating on my nerves. Fuck the globe, Dad. The globe's stupid. Flat earthers are nicer than globers. I don't like globers. That's what I always thought, but now the flat earthers are being mean. They're all being mean. I think just people are mean. See, the flat earthers, they were a lot nicer when they were the ones that were just like being crushed by everybody, but now they became so many, and now they just all like bicker amongst each other, and they're all mean. I don't think there's any nice people in the world anymore. Everybody wants to tell you what the earth is. Like reality has a shape. Reality, this isn't just earth, it's called reality. I mean, there's nothing else. Like, we don't know anything else, you guys. This is just reality. It doesn't have a shape. I mean, like, we're all witnessing it together, you know? You don't leave this place. I mean, nobody leaves it. Nobody's left it. You can go up in the sky, but you come back down. Nobody leaves Earth. This is just reality. It doesn't have a shape. Oh, God. It's like to objectify reality is just like, that's a fool's errand, man. Like, what the fuck are you even thinking? The shape of Earth? Get out of here. I'll tell you what shape the Earth is. It's in bad shape right now, man. But all we got to do is just raise the vibration a little bit, get a sense of humor. Don't get so upset. Don't get your panties in a bind, you know? I mean, who cares what people think? I just want to know the truth. And if the truth makes everybody mad, then that's the truth that I want. I want the truth that's the most controversial truth around. That's the kind of truth I like. It gets me a lot of attention. If they were going to do a flat earth psyop, Jaron would have been the perfect guy for the job. That's what I want to say about that. If he's not a fucking agent, then he's just a guy that, okay, he's an agent. Oh God, I can't fend it off anymore. It's just the obvious reality. It's like they want you to believe a certain thing after feeling like you've exhausted the other alternative idea. Oh, that's already been exhausted. Okay, we're going back to the globe. It says flat Earth was dumb. We figured it out that it was dumb. This can't explain reality. It's just you're spitting in God's face if you think the globe is real. I mean, flat Earth. I mean, oh no, I said globe. I mean, I meant to say flat Earth. I don't know how Jaron doesn't just fucking like, dude, he must look at himself in the mirror and be like, this is fucking ridiculous what I'm doing. Like, you're all over the place, man. Just like, nobody knows the shape of the earth, dude. You can't see star trails diverging in two different directions if you're on a ball spinning in one direction. That doesn't make sense, man. How come nobody has said that? Why has it been like known for fucking 2,000 years and nobody thought of this yet? Nobody thought about the fact that the circles just keep getting bigger? How come nobody thought of that? What the fuck's going on, man? I'm losing my mind. Daddy, tell the flat earthers they're wrong. You're an astronaut, Daddy. Come on. It's like this self-help group where there's like all these dejected fucking kids from, like astronaut parents or whatever. They're just like, my fucking astronaut parent was just a fucking jerk. They're always gone, When I see these videos, I'm on this fucking. My mom is on the ISS. She's got all this fucking hairspray in her. I know she's not really up there, dude. It's fucking bullshit. Like she never would ever have had hairspray. My whole life raising me, she never fucking used hairspray. I go in the bathroom. There's like fucking 4 cases of fucking hairspray in the closet. I'm like, Mom, what the fuck is all this hairspray in here? She's like, oh, it's for work. I mean, I just don't worry about it. I'm like, what the fuck? And then I see her on the ISS. Her hair's all hairsprayed, all fucking. I'm like, what, Mom? Are you for real? And it's like these kids. They can't talk about it with normal people. They got to go to these little self-help groups for like, dejected fucking children from astronaut parents. It's like my mom's a liar. She's fucking. All this hairspray. She never wore hairspray. I know that she said it was for work. What the fuck? What else could it be? Oh, man. And my dad, like, he never wanted to talk to the flat earthers about how they were wrong. He just would never even talk about it. Why wouldn't he? He's the one guy that knows they're wrong. Why wouldn't he just get on their fucking show and be like, hey, you guys are wrong? Like, if I was him, I would have just given him my phone number. And then when I was going to space, I would just call him and be like, hey, flat earthers, look, there's a globe. Why doesn't anybody do that? All these kids, they're just like dejected fucking children from astronaut parents. That's a lot more controlled than that. They don't get to go out. That's the thing. That's part of it, though. And there's got to be some little self-help group somewhere where it's totally on the hush. It's not spoken about. But because it can't leak out into the public that there's like dejected fucking children from astronaut families where they're just like they realize that their parents are fucking liars. And that they're not the heroes they thought they were, and it's like, oh, it turns out they're just a bunch of fucking liars. They're doing their little ISS video, and they're like up there doing science for 666 days, and my mom was up there for 666 days. You know how long it was? She was gone for like fucking 2 years, and I'm fucking sitting there looking at her all hairsprayed, and I'm fucking, what the fuck? They ask her what kind of science she's doing. She doesn't ever say anything. They never tell you anything. They're just like, we're doing the science, and there's more science coming, and we're all about the science and progressing science and science. It's like, do they think that we don't notice that they're not giving us anything to sink our teeth into? Do they think that that's enough to satisfy? I mean, there's no information. They don't tell you anything. Sometimes they'll show you like a mouse or like some lettuce or fucking a water bubble. It's like, I'm sorry, but that's just like parlor tricks. Like, what are you guys actually doing? I mean, you couldn't find a more useless fucking bunch of people, really. They haven't brought anything to the table, and they don't even tell you anything. They don't give you anything. They just like, oh, we're doing science. No, you're not. You're just doing somersaults, and like fucking, that's about the size of your science. All clean shaven, clean cut, smiling ear to ear, all fucking big old belt, shirts tucked in, arms folded, all science. It's like awkward. How could you guys be up there that many days in a tin can floating around with all your shit and piss and body fluids and fucking all his long hair flowing everywhere and fucking who's doing your laundry? And like, how do you never run out of air? Like, how do you make your air? What's up with the air machines? I want to know how they never run out of air. I mean, is your air supply like, do you rely on supplies being shipped up to you in order to have your air? I mean, like, I'd imagine you'd run out of air if you didn't get your supply, like if your supply rocket didn't make it. I mean, that's pretty serious, right? Like, how do you have air like indefinitely? You've been up there for 20 years. Like, how do you keep the air flowing? Like, I mean, is there something I'm just not aware of? Like, how do they make nonstop air? Like they have air to spare. I mean, where's all the air? Like they have to have supplies to produce the air. I'm imagining because they would breathe it all up and it'd be gone and they die. But they have to keep new air coming in. But there's no air where they're at. So where are they getting all the air? Well, we have machines that make the air. Well, what is a machine? Like, I want to know the details. Like, what kind of machine makes air? Like, where is it taken? I mean, do they have water? Or like, what is it that they're using to make the air? Like, because I mean, that's some good technology they got going there. I mean, is that what they use to get to the moon? Like, they're gone for a week, 6 days there and back in little spaceships, and they decompress, they depressurize, when they have to let the limb out or when they have to open up the limb to go out, and They depressurized a bunch of times. They had to get out of the ship to go get the camera off the side of the ship, you know. They're always depressurizing and then putting on spacesuit, and there's all this air to spare, you know. They never ever run out of air. And they never even talk about like, oh, air levels are low, you know, like when you're scuba diving, your air supply is fucking front and center. That's all you talk about. That's the only thing that you're paying attention to other than what you're doing. So it comes up a lot, you know, air, you know, the air levels, this, that, and air level, keep your eye on the air level, you know, that's the thing you focus on. But like when you're in space, they never even talk about it. It's fucking the last thing they're worried about. They got air to spare. How do they get so much air up there? How do you go to the moon and you're gone for 6 days in 1960s technology and you just never ran out of air? Like there's no air out there. How do they breathe? Where do they get all the air from? What is the air machine? They never talk about that. I think that would be like they never talk about like how they test the spacesuits and, you know, in a vacuum chamber. They never talk about how they make air while they're out in space for 6 days. That's a science that I want to know about. Like am I just being like a flat earther? I'm just being dumb. I don't look into it enough. I'm like, what is the science behind that? Why don't they just, I shouldn't have to look into it. They should just tell us. I mean, it's so fancy. Like, I just want to know. Like, why can't they tell us? How do they have nonstop air in a place where there's no air?